So to get into our first goal here of this webinar, we're going to see the capability of having our revisions and adding notes to them to give details and more information. We always want to provide more and more to know, hey, what's going on with this? Here's the details that we got. If we're passing it along to an MEP person or an architecture or civil, we have the notes for everything. We have the notes that we can pass along to make sure we have documented details of everything. We can also try to get more information of how we set everything up to kind of roll along and provide more and give more. So when we put everything out, it's clear, it's concise. We know exactly what's going to happen and what's going to work and what's not going to work to kind of get everything rolling. And then we're going to go and to look into our sequences to kind of track the project stages. The reason being for that is because this allows us to know, hey, sequence 1 was during time frame A to B, you know, sequence 2, A to C, and so on and so forth. And we can kind of guide the path of where everything is going so we know exactly how everything is set up, how we evolve, kind of keep going with it. Then we can go into seeing the difference between the revisions and the revisions clouds set up inside the tool itself to kind of determine, okay, what pathway do we want to go? What is considered, you know, the actual revision as a whole with all its clouds, and then what is, you know, the actual revision cloud itself and that specific detail that we're looking at. So we're going to definitely take a deep dive into that and kind of go off with it. But before there, we need to know the biggest goal of all. And so with the biggest goal of our main goal is to see the benefits of the tool when dealing with, you know, different stages of the project, different, you know, areas of reviews of, you know, utilization of documents, things in that nature, to put out to make sure everything is clear, unique, concise for whatever is being going on and kind of going from there. So to kick that off, we're going to go and jump into a demo here and kind of go along the pathway of, you know, some of the workflows that are being utilized out of it to kind of go in with all that is happening here. So as you can see here, I have my lovely Revit screen open with a project already open, along with some revisions in these, and then also just the standardization of the tools themselves. So we're going to focus solely on the CTC BIM Project Suite, and inside that, we're going to look into the Revision Manager tool itself. Now, we already have revisions in here, and we can always add more and more and more revisions to kind of get everything going, add, you know, uniqueness to it, and kind of work with what's happening. So as I come in here, I'm just going to go ahead, set up this revision saying, hey, from this, we need to adjust, you know, what's happening with all that's, you know, in this little small area, and then call it good. So I at least know this revision to kind of go off of and go from. Now, I'm not going to necessarily go into this little area quite just yet, but I will explain it here in a little bit. So to start off here, I'm going to go ahead and open up the tool and kind of get everything flowing with what we see here. So to start out here inside our Revision Manager with this little unique guy here, we have quite a few stuff inside of here that we can utilize, work with, and kind of share to apply what is going on and what isn't. Here are a list of already my revisions that I have currently right now. And then as I go into the next page itself, I have my actual revision clouds in the next setup and next process of things. But we're going to stick on sheets and revisions to kind of work with, go with, and utilize out of it. So to kind of start this, we're going to start out with sheet issues / revisions. These sheet issues / revisions are key on a lot of different things. To start out here, I'm going to start by clicking add, because we're going to add a new one here. And we can set the revision number by whatever we want them to be set by. And then we can also set a sequence with it as well. Now we can also set this to be numeric or alphabetic or none, depending on how we want to, filter these through, get these working to kind of set, all right, this is the pace that we're going at. This is, the standardization of how everyone is releasing their documents, how we're all communicating with everything. So we have that consistency going on. As we continue on here, we also have the date. We can always type in the date. Here is, the last date issue that we set up, kind of working with and utilizing. And then we also have more information with that. So for instance here, I'm going to type in a date from last week just to at least clarify and go with from there and say, hey, that was on that date itself. So if I can actually type today, my apologies, folks. And here, there we are. We have that date range for it. Now we can always put in a description saying, hey, these are the new changes, new calculation workflows. As I get that typed in here and spelled correctly, we have at least that in there. We can say, hey, is this issued or not? Is this, a standardization of issues that we're putting out? Is it going to be, utilized or not to kind of work with? We can set that in there saying, hey, it's being issued. We can also put an issued to, so we can assign it to people. Also, who is it issued by? So I can say issued to Joe L, and then issued by Zach R. So we can kind of continue and work off of there. And then we can show it in a couple different ways. If we want to have it by none, tag, or cloud and tag. So this allows us to have it in a unique setup, because this is at least us starting to get everything filterized. Now, as we come over here, we can set this by per project or by per sheet, depending on how we want to kind of project everything out. This is very key when we try to push a lot of our, unique workflows out and trying to have, all right, hey, the project, this is how we're all going as a start. But, some sheets are, being pushed more than others. So we can set that up by per sheet as well. Now, it also gives us a little warning here. Switching the different revision numbering scheme potentially causes the revision numbers for all, revisions clouds. Do you want to? Yes or no? You can always select those, change those up if you want to, and you can always revert back as well as need be to kind of filter off and go off of. Now you can always move these rows up or down or merge up depending on if things have changed or if things have come in late from what is being added or changed. So you can at least go from there. And then you can also set these, specific revisions by numeric in a specific way to where, hey, start with a certain sequence number and add, a prefix or suffix to it. Or what you also could do is add it alphabetically going from A to Z, and then add a prefix 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth to kind of get things going, get things set up, and then have an arc length just in case if we need to fine tune anything with it. So we at least have those set up. Now I'm also going to add a new one inside of here to kind of say, hey, the issue date is of today. So for this instance, I'm going to say, hey, it's 9/30/2021 to kind of go with. It's revision 3 of final 90% CDs to kind of go with. And this is, this is going to be issued to Jack K, and if I can spell today. And here we go. Retype that out and go to Jack K, and it's going to Emily C. So we at least have those there. We're going to have this issued later on, but we can, at least say the previous one is issued. Click apply and go, okay, we're all set up now. Now we can go back into our tool here of the revision manager itself to get everything set up and synchronized. So we can at least apply these to different stages of the clouds that we have set up on the stage for what they are. These are going to be based off of the sheets. So when we do set these and go off these, it's going to say, hey, anything on these sheets are going to be related to these sequences and to kind of move on and appear on those on that information that we have. Now, as we go into our actual revisions that we go by, we can see here what revision number it is, along with what revision description it belongs to as well. So for this page, we see a lot of different uniqueness to it, to where it's, can be filtered even more. So when we go to all these filters, we can filter not only by the sheets themselves, but other sheets not directly on sheets, directly on sheets, everything with it to kind of go off of and work off of from there to be utilized in any manner that we so choose to for it. Then we can even, filter those in by what specific, revisions, sequence it is to kind of go off of, to utilize and to work with. Now, we're going to get into the most key part inside of this is giving the details, because right here inside of the mark and comment is kind of key. I always tell people, especially when I'm working on a project or, continuing on it, the more detail you give, the more information you give, the better off you'll be, because they're not going to always come back for questions. And with the information that is given, you waste less time trying to go back and trying to figure everything out, explain everything out in a sense that it just wastes money in totally. We don't want to be in a place where we're wasting money, we're wasting time, we're wasting all these issues. We want to keep it going, we want to keep it utilized, we want to keep it clean, we want to keep it fresh, and we want to keep everything rolling, because when we start getting further and further ahead of the project, the better off we'll be in getting to that situation. The worse, the further and further back we get behind the project, it's just not going to end well, especially at the end, because the end is the most craziest part of things. So with this little page here, I'm going to add and say, hey, it's part of the Mech Calc 2 to kind of go off of, saying, hey, it's a part of the mechanical calculations, second round. And we're going to at least put, increase flow size. Just from that area to at least have and to kind of go off of. Now I click apply, it's going to apply everything to it. Now I'm going to show you one unique thing that is nice, is this hidden area. This hidden area allows us to hide our revisions as we go further along down the project. This is nice because we don't have to have everything cluttered up. Once we know it's completed, we can click hide here, click apply, and things start to disappear, like the cloud revision I had up here. As I uncheck it again, come back in, click reapply, it comes back up. So this is a nice tool as you go further and further and further, that's saying, hey, changes have been made. We don't need to see them anymore. We don't have to delete them. They're still there, and we can at least have all this information logged. This is always key to a lot of different things, because as a manager or as a person or as a project leader, you want to have as much verification as you can, because this can come into dollars and cents and saying, hey, we did this. We know we did this. Here's our records of it. You can't say this wasn't against us. So this also comes into lawsuits and everything else with it. So this is always something key, unique to kind of work off of, go off of, and keep being utilized for things. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK and go from there. Now, this little one that I created here, I can come back in, add a mark or type with it as always, and I can always come in and change, the revision of it to see, okay, this is going to be a part of this sequence. It was issued here. More information is filled out for myself. I can also add the extra marks and comments saying, hey, this is part of Mech, the Mech 3 to kind of filterize everything through. And I can, add the drop down and say, hey, this is, increased flow size, or other comments that I've added earlier automatically apply. So when I go back into the tool itself, it's automatically going to be filled out for me. So as I open this back up, go back into my revision cloud, here it is all filled out, ready to go, set up uniqueness to it. This is nice and easy for a lot of different things. But Zach, does it also fill out everything else inside of, my title block? Does it fill out the information of what my revisions are? As we come in and scroll inside of here, yes, it does. It does put the number, it does put the description, it does put the date. So it also fills in that information for that title block and those families and those parameters as we go along. You don't have to come back in and try to mess with the schedule or mess with the title block to at least get that information on there. It automatically does this for you. This is very easy, simple, and kind of good to go with. As we continue to add and change things as we go along, filter things through, adjust things as need be, change the different sheets as we go into the next sheet that we have, we can add more to it. So inside of here, I can come in, annotate, put in a new revision right over the little men's section of the area, set that up. Okay, check. We can put this as a mark of men's, well, actually plumbing 2 setup, and we'll put as men's room to be redone. Apply that to there, go back in, go inside of my little tool to at least see, get that information, kind of add this to, the sequence of 2 and 3 and add everything else to it. Go back in, go into the revision, see that this one is applied right here. Apply that into whether the next one is going to be hidden. So the one above it right here that has nothing marked, I can click apply, hide that, and go on and do other things with it. Now, as you see here, you see these sequences right here grayed out. Reason being for that is because that's locked in. It's locked in and hidden because of these right here. Once it becomes hidden, these filters automatically start locking in saying, hey, this is already done, set up. It's not going to appear. We already know what it's a part of, what stage it's a part of, and can go from there and have that record for it. This is also kind of key when we filter things through and we start hiding things and, seeing what has evolved and what hasn't. It's nice to at least have that there to be safe, secure, and utilize of what we have and what we're going with for a lot of different things. So it's always nice, always good. Come back in, select on the revision, change the sequence of it. Boom, we're all set, we're all golden. We can continue on the project, keep on going what's going on. The people that have issued this or are being, taking care of this issue are notified. They're on the right track of it. If they haven't, if something is messed up and with the issue itself, they can always come back in, say, okay, this was assigned to this person for the issue, and we can adjust and go and answer questions as need be. So we can have a structure that is unique, set up. The communication is golden. We can filter people through the right direction. We can adjust things as need be and go from there. So I'm going to jump back into my little presentation real quickly here. And we're going to continue on with a little bit extra of this to kind of review everything that we kind of went over. So to start out here for the review side of things, we saw some of the advantages of, adding those notes and adding extra information to there. This is always key on a lot of different things and to kind of go off of. Now, I do have a question in here real quickly. from Jose here. I'm assuming only the users with access to this CTC BIM Manager Revision Manager will be able to use and edit the revision, correct? What is the workaround in an office where not everyone has access to the Revision Manager? Well, to kind of go off of here, I'm going to hop back in and go into my little system here. So as you can see here, there's all these 3 different tool sets up here. What we're focusing on is the BIM Project Suite. The BIM Project Suite is where it is of where this actual tool is to kind of utilize. Then we have the actual tool of the Revision Manager. Now it's in a dark green versus a light green. These dark green are paid tools that are offered to CTC to kind of go off of and utilize off of. Then we also have these light green tools. These are all the free tools that CTC has. So if you don't have a paid version, you still utilize it, still have it on there, you can use these tools over and over and over and over again and not have anything, taken away from it. It's the only way these ones go away is if you get rid of the suite out of your Revit system. So you always have that there. Now, with these being the paid version, you can always talk to your manager and get to your sales rep to kind of at least get something started to kind of go over, how do we get these tools? How are they licensed? What's the cost for them and everything else with it to kind of go off of and feed off of everything that is going on to kind of know what's happening as it, goes. So hopping back in over to the presentation real quickly here. As I go back real quickly, yep. So again, we did see the advantages of, what was being able to be added for notes wise, kind of all of that tied into one so we can continue to work off of and go off of. Then we looked into, organizing our revisions, strategically placing them out on dates and setups for sequences so we know what has happened during certain time periods. We know at what stage this happened, what was the date for it, what was the revision that was applied to it, everything towards that so we can guide ourselves and have everything recorded as, safety nets for ourselves. And then we took a deeper dive into what we have as a revision versus what we have as revision clouds. We saw that revision clouds can be multiple ones set up in different little aspects to where they're the actual revision for what they are. And then the whole revision itself is what we have for the sequence of, hey, this is all what we're looking at, what we're utilizing, what we're going with, things in that nature to kind of utilize what all is happening inside of them. So that's kind of the key things that would go off of, work off of, and kind of run with as we go through everything, kind of utilizing how we're trying to better communicate across all fields with whatever is going on. Now we get into a little bit of our questions portion. You can always type extra questions in, kind of go off of. I'm going to at least give you guys, a couple minutes here to at least go over there before we continue on and get, some extra information presented to you guys here. Alrighty, here as we continue on, as always, you can go to subscribe to our social media page on LinkedIn, or you can always do it on YouTube as well. This video will be posted later on YouTube for you to kind of check out, go through, kind of utilize everything with that, kind of get everything set up, being properly ran, utilize, and given more information for you to look over and over and over again to kind of work with and go with on a lot of different bases to always have more to read off of and go off of. And then finally, I want to thank you all for being here today. Again, my name is Zachary Rico, and I am an MEP Technical Specialist here at ATG USA. You can always get in contact with me for more questions or more, hypotheses or anything else that you kind of want to talk about from there. You also have my phone number on there as well. So don't be hesitant to at least leave me a voicemail to kind of go off of so I can help you better get the job done better, help you improve everything, get your workflow set up, everything with that under the sun. So I'm always here to help and always love doing what I love to do. Again, thank you guys so much for being here, and I really do appreciate everything with it. I will have this open for a little bit longer in case you guys have extra questions coming in or anything else with that. I really do appreciate it, everything that you guys do, and make a great day or not. The choice is always yours.